Japan. But with a title that long and boring, in fact it's 9:30 Sunday morning, no one would have shown up if that was in the program book.
We would have.
That doesn't say much for your social calendar.
No,
But it does mean you love me. Even
or
if
or both.
no, we'll go with B. Or D, none of the above. We just got kicked out of our room and there wasn't anywhere else to go. We did have a panel like that in Kansas once. We had a 9 a.m. panel on Sunday. And nobody I don't even remember what they gave. It was like sword cleaning and maintenance. That's a real crowd pleaser. I mean, it does appeal to like 10 people who actually bought swords over the weekend.
Yeah, my friend too.
But we had 50 people there, and it was because we was the only panel, and checkout was at 10, and nobody had anywhere to go. So they just came to the panel and slept through my lecture. Well, they slept through the first part. As soon as the sharp sword was spinning around through the air, they paid more attention. Look, I'm tired too. Japan was a caste system. What that means is, if your dad was a farmer, you were going to be a farmer. You had no choice. Your child is going to be a farmer. If you were a samurai, the nobility, that meant you were always going to be nobility. Your children would be nobles, their children. It's a good gig if you're the people in charge. One of the ways throughout world history that the ruling class has kept themselves in charge is they have limited the ability of the populace to resist or fight back. And that's all I'm going to say, but now you know where I stand on the Second Amendment. What the government said, what they did was they made it illegal for any of the peasants, the common people, to own the better weapons of war. The samurai longsword, the katana, and the naginata, these were illegal for the peasants to own. In fact, it was, for a while, to have one found on your person or in your home was an immediate death sentence. They were very serious about it. And what the government told the people was, what we kind of get told now, you don't need these weapons, protect yourselves, we'll protect you. And I'm not trying to be mean, we do a lot of work with police departments in our area, but my favorite Facebook meme ever somebody sent me was, remember, when seconds count, the police are only minutes away. You still have to protect yourself. If you go walking out into the parking lot, well, if you go walking out in the parking lot this morning, you're fine. Nobody's up trying to cause bad things to happen at 10 a.m.
Not as hot as it is.
Not as hot as it is, right. Last night at 3 a.m., maybe. But people still have to protect themselves. And since the peasants weren't given the really effective weapons, what they did is they took household items, in many cases farm implements, and they adapted them for self-defense use. Some of these worked really, really well, and some of them were shiny and looked cool, but weren't very effective for self-defense. And if we have anybody that trains in Japanese martial arts, and you do what we call kabuto weaponry, that's also another for most of these weapons. And I'm using one of them and showing you how they worked and saying a couple of negative things, and it's your favorite weapon ever. Please don't get offended at me. When I talk about weapons being effective or not effective, I don't mean they're not cool, because I like all of them. But in a life or death situation, when someone's trying to kill you, congratulations, you've disarmed yourself. And I'm sorry for flinching, but at my school, if you train in staff or any other weapon, or if your weapon hits the floor, it's 100 push-ups the first time. Well, think about it. If you have a weapon in your hands, if you drop it and it's no longer in your hands, it doesn't do you any good at all. Zero. So it's important you hold on to the weapon. It's kind of like football. If you fumble all the time, well, you play for the Bears. Well, I know the Patriots never fumble, but that's because they underinflate the ball so easy to hold on to. There. I made 2 sports jokes at an anime con, and they just kind of went. I did that once. It was actually, we had a huge crowd, and I made a sports joke, and no one laughed, and my son's behind me goes, Dad, you made a sports joke. I'm like, yeah? He goes, at an anime con? I'm like, so? So we're in Chicago. He's like, Dad, look at the audience. These are the kids who all got notes to get out of gym class.
I wish.
Captain America to go, I understood that reference.
Yay.
I did understand that reference.
We had Captain America last night.
Yeah.
Several, but he's Groot now, I think. Anyway, some of these weapons for life or death situations actually worked really well, and some of them didn't work as well. They weren't as effective. Please don't get offended at me. This is actually what I do for a living. I teach these weapons, and so I'm going to classify them that way, and I don't mean anything negative by it. But if you're going to get really offended at me, also remember I teach weaponry for a living. Be polite. We're going to start with the Ninja Turtles. Most of my history lectures are based on Disney cartoons. And before you go mocking me, going, that's not very accurate. At my age, Disney cartoons are about as accurate as that middle school history book that I had. Are you with me on that? I learned in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue and discovered America, which is awesome, but there were already people living there. How do you discover something that's already populated? If I discover a house and there's a family living there, that's breaking and entering. I did warn you, the less sleep I get, the goofier I get. It's been a long weekend.
I get punchy.
She does. Stay out of reach. She'll hit you. We're going to start with my favorite Ninja Turtles weapon. Did anybody see the first Ninja Turtles movie? Granted, it was before most of you were born. But
I've seen all three of them.
Yeah.
You're still not raising your hand. We're going to start calling you Bubble Boy. Not because you're shaped like one, but because you live in one.
Probably didn't get that reference.
You don't know how old you are. You don't know if you were sober last night. You didn't see the Ninja Turtles. I took my children to that because my son loved the cartoons. And so we went to see Ninja Turtles, and his favorite was also Raphael, because these are shiny and cool. And if you remember the movie, the first 45 minutes of the movie, Raphael had one line. Damn! And I'm going, this is not going to go well for my 3-year-old, because 3-year-olds don't process, they mimic.
Exactly.
Movie was awesome.
The whole way back.
But we walked out of the first showing of the movie on Sunday, out into the lobby at the mall, where there's a huge long line of people waiting to go into the next movie. And there's my son with 2 straws from our sodas, right in the middle of the lobby. He has a sense for the dramatic. I don't know where he gets it. Walks right into the middle of the lobby and goes, damn! And walks off, and I'm going, mentally tearing up my Father of the Year award speech. I didn't.
Thanks to the parents complaining about it.